I didn't buy the ring because it meant anything. I bought it because it was cheap, solid, and small enough to forget about. I'd just closed my father's apartment, returned the keys, cleared the last of his papers, signed my name where it no longer felt like mine. The pawn shop was on the walk back to the bus. The ring sat alone in a tray, dull silver, no stamp inside the band. It felt practical, weight without decoration. The first time it warmed, I assumed my hand was sweating. I was in line at the pharmacy. A man behind me leaned close to complain about the weight, his voice low and confidential, like we were co-conspirators. I remember thinking he stood too near, but I said nothing. Politeness has momentum. When he brushed past me to leave, the ring heated suddenly, noticeably, unmistakably warm against my skin. Not burning, just alive. I shook my hand once, embarrassed by how fast my heart jumped. By the time I looked down, the warmth was gone. Coincidence is comforting. I kept it. The second time happened at work. A contractor sat across from me in a glass-walled meeting room, smiling too often, agreeing too quickly. He never raised his voice. He never said anything technically wrong. But as he leaned forward to slide a document toward me, the ring warmed again, steady this time, like it had decided not to hide. I adjusted my chair back an inch. He noticed. People always do. After he left, I pressed the ring against my palm, testing it like a thermometer. Cold. I didn't tell anyone. That felt important, though I couldn't have explained why. I began to test it the way you test a superstition, carefully, pretending you aren't, standing closer to some people, farther from others, watching for heat, watching myself. Most days nothing happened. The ring stayed inert, metal doing what metal does. Then there was the third. She was friendly, volunteered at a shelter. Everyone liked her. She laughed with her whole face and remembered names. When she hugged me goodbye after a community meeting, her arm lingered an extra second around my back. The ring warmed so fast I almost pulled away. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the same question over and over, wearing a groove into my thoughts. What do these three have in common? The answers came too easily and not at all. Different ages, different genders, different contexts. No shared profession, no shared habits I could see. The only overlap was my reaction, how each interaction left me feeling slightly smaller, slightly adjusted, like furniture moved when I wasn't looking. I thought of other moments I'd brushed aside. The supervisor years ago who always needed private meetings, the neighbor who insisted on walking me to my door, the friend of a friend whose jokes landed just a beat too late. I had been good at explaining things away. I'd called it being fair, being adult. The ring didn't care about my explanations. I stopped shaking hands. I stood farther back in elevators. I let silences stretch instead of filling them. People noticed the change before I did. Some reacted with confusion, a few with irritation. One afternoon, at work, the contractor returned unannounced. He said there'd been a misunderstanding in the paperwork. He leaned on my desk, too close again, his voice softening. The ring warmed instantly. I didn't accuse him. I didn't raise my voice. I stood and asked my manager to join us. My hands were steady when I folded them together. He smiled, but it slipped when she arrived. Later that week, an email circulated. Compliance review, external auditors, routine language, serious tone. The contractor's firm was named. Meetings were postponed. Access revoked pending investigation. No one mentioned me. That was the moment I understood what the ring had given me. Not proof, permission. Authority intervened without spectacle. No shouting, no dramatic reveal. Just a quiet reordering of power, visible in calendar invites and closed doors. Control shifted without anyone needing to admit why. I took the ring off that night and placed it on the table. Without my hand, it was just metal again. No warmth, no signal. I thought about how many times I'd waited for certainty before acting, how often I'd demanded evidence from myself that I'd never require from others. The ring hadn't changed the world, it had changed the timing. I still wear it, though not every day. Sometimes it warms, and I listen. Sometimes it doesn't, and I don't force meaning where there is none. The hardest part hasn't been learning to trust it, it's been accepting what happens when I do, how some doors close quietly, how some smiles don't come back, how discernment can feel a lot like loneliness. But when I slide the ring on in the morning, it fits the same way every time. That consistency matters to me now.